Welcome to Film on Tape, a free audio library for creatives in film and television. My name is Misha Calvert, and I've worked as an actor, writer, director, and producer for many decades. I had so many questions when I was first getting started in New York, and I just wanted fast, free answers. That is what this library is for. The work that you do as a creative is so important. I really hope that this library is going to help get your work out there. Film on Tape is sponsored by Vermilion, a coaching and educational company for creatives. You can learn more at clubvermilion.com. You're probably afraid of money. That sounds crazy because you're tuning in wanting to make more money. That's literally why you clicked on this episode. The episode title is How to Make More Money. And you're like, well, I want to make more money. What do you mean I'm afraid of money? But I'm going to show you why and how. And we're going to start by rethinking what money is and recontextualizing it to think about it in a different way. Because, look, whatever you've been doing, it's not working. Be really honest with yourself. If it was working, you wouldn't be listening to this podcast. So we're here to change the way you're thinking and the actions that you're going to take in order to make more money. Because if you're listening to this podcast, I love you. And I am here to look out for you. And I want you to make more money because the people that listen to this podcast are elite. The people that listen to this podcast are incredible. They're world-class artists who are trying to figure out how to break through, how to improve their lives, how to contribute more. I'm speaking specifically to you and specifically to the people who are ready to take responsibility for your finances and start to make a lot more money. All right, so let's start with rethinking of money as energy. Energy in a material form. And we're going to think about being rich as an energetic frequency as well, just for the purposes of this podcast. Just go with me for like 30 minutes here. Rich is an energetic frequency, just like being inspired or depressed or so angry you're ready to punch someone. You know, these are all things that everyone has felt before. And being rich is also a state of mind or a state of emotion. So you can get in that frequency with awareness, practice, and certain action steps. Just like you can make yourself depressed or make yourself angry, you can make yourself feel rich and you can kind of get into that zone yourself. You can have autonomy over that. So let's put a pin in that. If you want to make more money, you're going to have to connect to more people. If all of a sudden there was no one left on earth, money wouldn't mean anything. You wouldn't be able to buy anything because there would be no one to exchange it with. The fundamental premise of money is that it's an exchange between human beings. Therefore, if you want more of it, you have to connect with more human beings in order to create more exchange. One of the best ways to exchange with people is by getting them to know, like, and trust you. Now, I've talked about this before, and it should be familiar to you from the marketing episodes. It's a very simple concept, but it's pretty hard to master, actually. So I'm going to take you through using know, like, and trust as a 3-part framework for making more money. Now, remember when I said that you're scared of money? When I say you're going to have to connect to more people, you're going to have to exchange more. What comes up for you? Do you get scared? Does that feel like pressure? Do you feel anxious at the idea of interacting with a lot more people, with a lot more intimacy, like showing more of who you are, exposing your inner thoughts and feelings in order to raise the price tag on whatever you're offering, right? And especially if you're an actor or you're in the arts, like a big part of how much your product is worth is how much are you willing to let people know you. So I find that a lot of artists are energetically agoraphobic. Ironically, they don't want to be known. They say that they want a lot of attention, but then they're scared of the spotlight. They're scared to take up too much space. They don't actually want to reveal who they are or what they think and feel about the world. They're agoraphobic. So they've got these competing impulses, one to be really big and seen and known, and then another simultaneously to be really small and unseen and unknown. Artists can be really agoraphobic, and I encourage you, if you want to make more money, to confront your agoraphobia and, well, get over it. One of the first things that I can have you do that it won't be scary, but it will be hard, potentially, is to make a list of 25 ways that you can make money right now. And it has to be at the current hourly rate that you're earning or higher. So I don't want you putting like McDonald's, unless you already work at McDonald's, in which case, great, go for that promotion. But it should be something that is earning at least what you're earning now, if not a lot higher. Go ahead, write it down. You can pause the recording if you like, but I'm just going to keep going here into know, like, and trust. Now, actors understand the power of a crowd. You putting on a performance in front of 100 of your friends in a black box, or you posting on social media and getting 1,000 or 10,000 views on your video, or you auditioning for a big TV show in front of the producers and the director. The energy is very different for all those three different kinds of experiences, especially when you compare it to just a self-tape in your room. I want you to start to think about the people that are in those spaces as animals. And startups do this. They actually, they have language around this. Basically, they talk about when you're creating a product or a service, there's mice, rabbits, deer, elephants, and whales. And these are the kinds of people that you can sell to. You've all heard of maybe you haven't, of a whale, like a big whale client. That's like the biggest you can get. So that's like, if Google wanted to hire you for consulting, that would be a whale client because they have a lot of money and they have like a big facility and a lot of employees. So you know that, okay, if I land Google, I'm going to be able to stay in business no matter what. Like they're my main client. So that's really good. On the other end of the scale is mice. So you would need to sell a lot more products to the little price tag customers in order to make the same amount of money as one whale, right? It's just how math works. You can also think of it in terms of your audience. Now, if you're an actor or an artist, you would need, say, 1 million followers on a social media platform, aka mice, in order to have the same maybe level of opportunities coming at you as scoring one whale. That whale could be, for example, starring in a new TV show. You could get a lot of opportunity from both of those. And then like a rabbit might be that a local indie director really loves your work and wants to cast you in something. A deer could be a casting director really is a big fan and keeps calling you in for stuff. An elephant could be a sort of mid-tier producer or showrunner, thinks you're great and is trying to get you a guest star on something or a supporting role. If you start to think about who you're targeting to increase your sales or increase your audience, start to think of it like they're animals. You're here to go hunting. That's going to take a lot of the fear out of it because then when you look at that room full of producers and directors in your chemistry read, instead of seeing a bunch of really scary gatekeepers, you can just see a bunch of elephants and you could be like, okay, I'm going hunting and these are the targets for what I'm trying to do today. And I'm going to win. I'm going to get them. The thing that most people don't realize is that you are in direct control of the quantity and quality of animals that you interact with. So if you want more mice, post more online. If you want rabbits, invite those indie directors to a coffee or to a reading that you're doing. If you want those deer, start paying for casting director classes. And if you want those elephants and those whales, you can still have access to them, but it's a little more complicated. But it is absolutely possible to get to those elephants and whales. They're just more rare because how often do you see a whale out in nature? How often do you see an elephant out in nature? Not very often. They're more rare. But it is possible to get on a plane and go on a whale watching tour. It just takes a little more effort. Most people are afraid to go hunting at all because they fear the judgment of these various kinds of audience or client. You fear their judgment and you're not going to seek them out because you're preemptively expecting a negative response. Now, that negative response isn't so much about the humiliation or the sad feeling of hearing someone say no. It's more that it will confirm in you the fear that you're not good enough. It will confirm an insecurity, or it will give you evidence of something that you're really afraid is true. Whatever you're afraid is true is not true. You are good enough, and you may get a negative reaction, but I need you to not worry that it's going to detract from your inherent currency, the value that you bring into the room. I really want you to not be afraid, because in order to generate money, you're going to have to become known. You're going to have to go to market. And this is language that is borrowed from the business world, GTM. And the go-to-market team is usually very rambunctious and very loud and very energetic, because they have to be. So if you're an actor and you want to be in the acting market, you have to participate in the acting market. It is a market. You have to go to market, and you have to interact with people. I am so excited to tell you that I'm launching a brand new slate of classes that are incredibly helpful on my website. Some of the classes include on-camera acting technique and how to self-produce your own film, actor self-care, which is something that nobody talks about, and how to write a feature film in 10 days, which I'm going to teach you how I did it and how you can do it too. And believe me when I say I poured my heart into these courses. Go to clubvermillion.com. I am so excited about this website. I can't wait to work with you. Let's talk about because part of money is also qualitative. Have you in your life earned minimum wage? Probably, yeah, at some point. Have you earned $50 an hour? Have you earned $250 an hour? Have you earned $1,000 an hour? And I know some of you listening have. Think about the differences between what you were doing at each of those different levels. So how would you differentiate your skill set when you were earning minimum wage versus when you're earning $1,000 an hour, or, higher than minimum wage? Like, what was the difference in what you were doing and how you did it, and maybe even your energy frequency or quality as you were doing those things? If you want to increase the quality of your incoming, you have to increase the quality of your outgoing. So actors, writers, directors, content creators, if you're already working in your field but you want to increase the amount of money that you're making on an hourly or daily basis, then start by becoming an expert in the field that you want to succeed in. So whatever that medium is, whether it's content creation or screenwriting or filmmaking, acting, increase your craft and increase your devotion to the craft. Because when you increase your expertise, you increase your value. Most actors are not at the top of their craft, like statistically, right? It's just who is in the top 1%. We're not grading on a curve. We're just talking about who is literally better qualified and more skilled at what they do than all of the rest. And one of the best ways to consistently make money is to be in that top 1%. No matter how crowded the market is, there's always room at the top. Confidence does a lot. It's not just a nice to have. It's a need to have. Why? It carries other people, and they don't have to do emotional labor when they feel your confidence. They're like, oh, they've got me. And it's inspiring. It can really ignite transformation in people. So one of the best ways to increase your confidence is to get to a place where you love your own work. You love your own energy. How do you do that? You put in the work in order to love your work. Like, when you've procrastinated or kind of half-assed it, And you also know when you've gone above and beyond. When you've pushed forward so much and you've gone so detailed on something and you've really obsessed so much that it stops being about doing it right at all. It stops being about getting like a metaphorical A+. You're like, I'm living and breathing this thing. And it becomes about something else entirely. If you can get to that level with everything that you take on as an artist, you're going to succeed because very few people are willing to do that. So ask yourself, do you even like your own product or service? And if not, work on your product or your service until you do. This process is going to transform your confidence. It's also going to increase your monetary value as an artist. And I've been working on this myself. I've spent the past few years struggling to adjust my craft as a filmmaker in order to get better opportunities and to increase my value as a filmmaker. And I realized eventually that I was writing films that I wanted other people to perceive as good instead of writing films that I thought were good. I mean, what a basic error. And yet it's the error that people make their entire careers. Trying to create work that other people are going to think are good instead of what do I like? What do I like? Can I write something and make something and shoot something that I think is amazing? Because my standard is actually probably higher than a lot of other people's standard. So if I'm meeting my own good taste, I'm probably going to be in okay shape to meet the public. So to become loved by others, ironically, you must first fall deeply in love with yourself and your work. Let's talk about trust. Have you ever bought something that didn't work? A product or a service and it just didn't work or it didn't work very well? You're like, well, I'm never buying from that brand again. And their product doesn't work. Waste of money. It's infuriating. You could be the greatest, hottest actor in the whole world, and yet you can get taken down by this same principle. Examples of your product or your service as an artist doesn't work. Being hard to work with, being difficult, not able to learn your lines, always late or absent, falling off the radar, people can't reach you, mentally unwell and unable to perform, physically unwell and unable to perform, and I want to put a pin in that and come back to it, a sexual predator, being bigoted or prejudiced, taking long breaks from the work, quitting projects last minute, being a liar, being a drug addict, being an alcoholic, or just being overall undisciplined and unable to do the work, whatever that means. So, look, I have a lot of compassion for every single thing on this list, but it's not about my compassion. It's not about you losing out on an opportunity. It's about the people that have hired you to do a job need you to do that job. Usually in film, TV, and theater, there's a lot on the line. There's a lot at risk if you're not able to do that job. There's a whole company of people that are relying on you. So if they can't trust you to do the job that you were hired for, that's a huge problem. And I have such compassion and experience with mental unwellness, physical unwellness, people in my family. And, it's really tough. It's really sad and it's really hard. And also, there's kind of a bottom line of if you want to make more money, the title of this episode, you have to be able to deliver. Everyone has disadvantages, but you do your best to work around them and to try and take as much responsibility as you can for the things that I listed so that you're in a position to serve other people and not let them down with the agreement that you've made. So we could talk a lot about the complexities of mental and physical health in the film and TV world. I have a lot of empathy for the long hours that people are expected to work on film sets. I think it's a bigger conversation of how much should we expect artists to work themselves to the bone? I think it's just also important to honor the agreement that you made when you were hired to do something. People need to be able to trust you. It doesn't matter how well they know you or how much they like you. If you can't deliver the product or service, that's it. Remember, it's show business, not show friends. So this category of trust, it might seem like the easiest one to conquer, unless something on that list applies to you, and then this is the hardest. So get honest with yourself and see if any of the things that I talked about are getting in your way, and maybe even ask a few friends. If you're like struggling, hitting your head, like, I don't know why I can't seem to get hired back. They call me in once, they're not calling me in again. Why? Why is that director not returning my emails after working with him? Ask a few friends like, hey, do you trust me? Do I have a blind spot? You might be surprised at what you learn. In conclusion, look, there's probably a combination of all three of these going on if you're struggling for money, but there's also probably one that's louder than the others. So I'm curious, which one is loudest for you? If no is the problem, you need to meet more animals. Baby, it is time to go hunting. If it's like, you need to fall in love with your own work. Go all in on something, whether it's a script or an audition or a movie, just go all in. Get obsessed. And if trust is the problem, you need to go back to basics. You need to get serious about your health and your discipline, and you need to focus on the essentials. Forget the high and mighty, just focus on the basics. Okay, one last really cool thing that we're going to do together. If you've made it this far, it's all going to be worth it for this. So think about the last time you had a windfall. The last time a lot of money came your way. What were you doing right before that happened? Like, what did you put in motion, either internally or externally? Was there an attitude shift? What steps did you take for that money to come in, like applying for jobs or putting a video out or picking up the phone? So even if something seems like it was totally random, trace back, like, what exactly were you doing in the weeks and days leading up to that money coming in? And that's going to be your pattern. That's going to be your money pattern, which means that if you know your pattern, you can recreate it. I am starting to figure out my pattern, and it's extraordinary. I just raised a third of the budget of one of my upcoming films today, and it's because I ran the pattern. I ran the formula on what I know I need to do in order to get into that frame of mind that just makes people want to throw money at me. So look back, write down what your pattern is, and then see if you can run the pattern this coming week. Please email me or DM me if money comes through as a result, because I want you as an artist to make more money. You are an incredibly special person on the face of the earth. We have very few artists, and we need your voice. So I want you to get paid. I want you to make a lot of beautiful, supportive money, and I want you to tell me about it. I'm feeling like really electric right now talking about this subject, but thank you so much for listening, and I hope it's helpful, and I'll see you next week. Thank you so much for listening to Film on Tape. If you like the way that I approach the industry, check out our other classes, consulting, and mentorship at clubvermilion.com. Vermilion is a home for artists and those looking to expand creatively. Whether you're an actor, a film professional, an entrepreneur, or a CEO, we'll help you find your voice and hone your skills to thrive in any market at any scale. You can schedule a free phone consultation at clubvermilion.com.